Hello guys, I'm back a few hours later, hence the same outfit, different hair. I am going to start going over statistics today. This is something that I introduced the last few days that we had in class, so I know that quite a few people weren't there, so this might be a new concept to you. This might be a review concept to you, especially if you were in school every day that week. Then you've had a lot more practice versus if you came 1 or 2 days or you didn't come at all, then this is probably going to be kind of a new introduction. So we are going to be going over mean, median, and mode today. I don't have my standard and I do not have my objective up on here because honestly, I just need all my board space that I can have or I can get right now, because these are 3 entirely new vocabulary terms that you have not been introduced to before 6th grade. Okay, so what these 3 new vocabulary... He thinks that it's dinner time and it's not. You have 35 minutes, child. 35 minutes. Good try, though. Okay, so what these 3 things mean essentially is average. Again, probably a new vocabulary term for you, but it's not a new concept for you. This is probably something that you have done before in your life without even realizing it. Another word for this is fair share. So it kind of depends on what curriculum you're using. Engage New York used the term fair share a lot. Swan Math, I think, uses average more than they use the term fair share, but either way, they're all kind of meaning the same thing. So now what this actually means, now in like layman's terms, what you can understand, what makes more sense, what this actually means is if I were to distribute something. So let's say that I'm passing out pencils. No, candy. Let's just say candy here. And I have one student right here. Okay, and I have another student right here. Obviously, we have to differentiate between the students. That's good. That's artwork. That's nice. Okay, so let's say I'm passing out candy, right? And I give this person 2 pieces of candy, and I give this person 6 pieces of candy. And I say, I want you guys to have the same amount of candy. And I just say, figure it out. What they would probably do, first step, is combine all their candy together, right? If I want to pass things out and make sure everybody has a fair share of something, I'm first going to combine everything together. So this person has 2 pieces of candy. This person has 6 pieces of candy. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them. So if I were to just combine all these together, I'd have 8 pieces of candy. Now I have 8 pieces of candy that have to be shared among 2 people. That would mean that 8 pieces have to be divided evenly among 2. So 8 divided by 2 would be 4. So if I were to basically just bring 2 of these pieces from this person to this person, now they have 4 pieces each, still have 8 pieces of candy total, but now it is a fair share. If this is a concept that it's just kind of like you've done before, it's kind of duh, like, oh yeah, I've done this when I've like split up my Halloween candy or when I've gotten something from the store and just trying to like even things out with my friends or my siblings or something like that, then you already know how to do the most complex problem that we're going to be learning today, which is mean, or the most complex strategy or concept that we're going to be learning today, which is mean. Okay, so mean is our first vocabulary term. I remember mean by out of the 3 things that we're going to be doing today, mean, median, and mode. Mean is the most steps, okay? And it's the meanest one. It's like when your teacher tells you to do it, you're like, you're being mean right now. That takes a long time. This is the one you're going to be like, more likely than not. Not because it's hard, but just because it takes the most steps. And I would never talk down on a math concept. You know that. I love math. But I think that it'll help you remember that mean is like the, I don't want to do this one, because it takes the most time. Okay, so when we're finding mean, there are a very specific series of steps that you need to follow. I'm really sorry if you can hear noise. Chomper is living his best life down here. I'll just show you really fast. There you go. Oh, hi, Chomp. Just making all the noises he can because he thinks that it's his time to get fed. It's not his time to be fed. So our first step when we're finding our mean is going to be to add all the numbers. I'm going to put the numbers together. That was when I combined their candy. I said that person has 2 candies, that person has 6 candies. We're going to combine them together. We're going to have 8 candies. Step 2, you're going to count how many people there are, how many numbers there are. So find how many numbers there are. Step 3, that was when I was like, okay, there's that person over there, there's a person in the red, and then there's the person in the blue. Clearly there's 2 people, so I have to divide it evenly by 2 people. So step 3 would be divide your total by how many numbers there are. When I write it like this, it seems like a lot of work, it seems like it's confusing, and it seems like it's a lot of steps. I can recognize that by looking at this, that this might feel overwhelming, but I'm going to go through them, and there's going to be multiple examples, and I promise you it will get easier as long as you practice. Okay, I brought back in my 2 friends from my earlier problem, and I added a new one. So now we have red-haired person, we have blue-haired person, and we have green-haired person, all looking fresh today, all looking good. They just did their hair, clearly. But I've added a new number into here. So this person has 2 candies. We're going back to like the beginning. This person has 6 candies still, and this person has 1 candy. Okay, so now we have more people. So now it's going to be slightly different. Okay, but my first step is the same. If I want to find out how many they should each have, my first step is going to be to combine them all together, right? I'm going to make a pile of my candy. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candies. So step 1, add all of the numbers together. I'm going to write this in blue so it's easier to see. My total was 9. I have 9 candies among these 3 people. Now find out how many numbers there are. So this is a person, this is a person, this is a person. How many numbers there are essentially means like how many people there are. And now divide the total by how many numbers there are. So we have 9, divided evenly into 3 people. So those 9 candies have to be split among 3 people. So that means that each person is going to get 3 candies. If I draw that out to make this make sense, I'm going to actually just erase these 3. 1, 2, 3. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They each have 3. They all have their fair share, and the total is still 9. I haven't added any more candy. I've just distributed it evenly, which is the exact concept of mean. Now, when we're talking about mean, you're not always going to have word problems. A lot of times they're just going to give you a list of numbers in some sort. I mean, they might give you a context, but they'll give you a list of numbers, and they're going to say, find mean or find average. They may use any 2 of those terms. So I'm going to give you an example of how you'd solve this if they just gave you the list of numbers instead. Okay, I rewrote my steps so that they're a little bit smaller so we can still reference them, but I have more word space. And I'm giving us a list of numbers here that you might see on a test in 7th grade at any point in your life, and they may ask you to find mean. Now, I did not say this step because honestly, it's not all that important when finding mean, but I'm going to have us do this just to get in the habit of doing this because it's crucial for median and mode. So I didn't even write it up here. I should have. I'm sorry. I'll write it down here. My first thing that I would actually do here is write the numbers in order from least to greatest. Right from least to greatest. And honestly, this makes 0 difference at all when finding the mean. But it makes a huge difference when you're finding the median and the mode. Like big enough difference that you will not get the right answer if you don't do this. So a lot of times, honestly, you're going to be asked to find mean, median, and mode. They're not just going to say find one. So I'm just going to put that up here so that we just start getting in the habit. So I am going to look at these numbers and I'm going to see which one's the smallest. Okay, 4 is my smallest number. I'm going to put that first. There are 2 4s. My next smallest number is a 5. Okay, 8, 7, 8, so it'd be 7, 8, 8. I always like to make sure that I have the same amount of numbers. Obviously here it's a little bit harder to mess this up, but when they're giving you like 20 numbers, which you might see someday, it is important that you count just to make sure that you have it. So for the sake of habit, we're going to try it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should have 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 numbers. Perfect. And they are in order from least to greatest. So I am not even going to worry about this because this is the exact same numbers, just in a different order. And now I'm going to actually start solving in order to find my mean. So my first step, add the numbers together. Okay? So I want you to look at these numbers and I want you to add them all together. Pause, solve it, and then turn it back on. All right, welcome back. Should have 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 plus 7 is 20. 20 plus 8 is 28. And 28 plus 8 is 36. So my total here for step 1 is 36. Step 2, find out how many numbers I had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Step 3, divide by how many numbers I had. So 36 divided by 6 equals, pause it, solve it, 6. My mean is 6. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, man. Yeah, that's it. Okay? Now, I don't think mean was that hard at all. But median and mode are even easier. For median, the best way to remember median is middle and mode is most. So I know you're saying that like I have no idea what that means. But I'm going to write this somewhere. So mean, I'm really just going to write this. Mean equals add and divide. Median equals the middle. And mode equals the most. Okay, so we've already done the mean, the hardest step. Now I actually do the mode next because the mode is honestly the easiest one. The mode is the most. That just means what number do you see most often. Mode is most often. So I have 2 4s, I have 1 5, I have 1 7, and I have 2 8s. What's occurring the most frequently? What's on there the most often? What's the most common number? Well, there's 2 4s, 2 8s, and there's only one of the other numbers. So my mode on this problem would be 4 and 8. You can also have no mode. Say no number repeats itself, then you could also have no mode. So on this problem, my mean is 6. My mode is 4 and 8, and all that leaves us with is our median. This is another one that I think is really easy. The reason that I save it for last is because when I'm working on median, I actually like to erase or cross things out, and I don't want to have to refer back to the numbers if I've crossed them off, just because it makes them harder to read. So the median, what the median is the middle number. If the way I remember this is that when you're driving on the freeway, there's that barrier that's separating the like north and southbound lanes, or like the cars coming this way, or the east and westbound lanes. That thing in the middle is called the median. It's just basically just some barrier in the middle. Median in math is also just the middle number. This is why it's important that you lined it up from least to greatest, because it will totally change your answer if you miss that step. So finding median, you literally just cross one number off from the top, one number off from the bottom, 2 numbers off from the top, 2 numbers off from the bottom. Okay, so now I have 2 numbers left. My goal is to have 1 number left, but if I have 2 numbers left, I just say 5 and 7. What's in the middle of 5 and 7? 6. So my median here is 6. Sometimes you're going to get numbers where it's like 20 and 30. I mean, you could probably look at that and see, okay, 20 and 30, what's in the middle of that? 25. But another way you could find the middle number would be to add up these 2 numbers. So 5 plus 7 is 12. And then divide by 2, because there's 2 numbers there, equals 6. And that will give you your median as well. I didn't say this, but there's one more concept. But like, it's slightly different, but you're going to see it on the worksheets. So I'm just going to give you a brief review of how to do it, or a brief rundown on how to do it. And the other concept is range. Range is actually super, super easy. I keep saying that things are easy, but range is even easier. I don't know. It might be even easier than mode. Range is just the biggest number minus the smallest number. So range, my biggest number in this series of numbers is 8, minus 4 is 4. And that is all of the new vocabulary terms for these practice sheets, this is kind of like a bulk of the statistics module. I'm going to do another practice problem on how to do this because I'll be honest with you, it's 4 new vocabulary terms. I recognize that. In order to become proficient with any new vocabulary terms, you have to use them a lot. In order to become proficient with any new math concepts, you have to use them a lot. So the math worksheets that I'm going to link have a ton of problems. They're not that hard. They're really not hard at all, but it's just a lot of practice so that you can recognize the difference. The biggest thing that I see that throws people off is just not remembering which one's mean, which one's median, which one's mode. Mean, add up and divide. Median, middle, mode is most often. Range is your biggest number minus your smallest number, or it's kind of like the range of numbers within your series. But we'll do another example. Okay, so I wrote our next series of numbers down so that we can just see another example of how to solve for mean, median, mode, and range. Before I even begin solving, I must do my most important first step, which is writing my numbers from least to greatest. So I'm going to look at these numbers and I'm going to see which one's the smallest. Okay, if I'm looking at these, I'm going to write this in a different color just so I don't get confused. My smallest number here is 2. Next would be 3. Next would be 5. Then it would be 7. Then it would be 8. And remember that step that it doesn't look like it's that important, but it will be important later. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I should have 5 numbers. Okay, I do have 5 numbers, so I did that right. I'm going to cross these off so that these don't throw me off, so that I don't get confused as to why there's all these crossed off numbers. And now I'm just going to look at this series of numbers. When I'm doing these, like I told you, I personally like to do the easiest stuff first, get it out of the way. Then it's like, oh wow, I'm already halfway done. This is great. This is easy. This is wonderful. So my first thing that I'm going to do, I like to just find mode first. So my mode, I'll write it over here because then it's easier for me. My mode. Is there any number that's occurring more frequently than the other numbers? Think about it for a second. Pause it and think about it. There's 1, 2. There's 1, 3. There's 1, 5. There's 1, 7. There's 1, 8. There's no number that's doubled. There's no number that's happening more frequently. So there is no mode. Nope. Done. The other one that I told you guys that I think is really easy is range. That is a terrible R. Wow. Range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. My biggest number, we put this in order from least to greatest. We made this easy for ourselves. 8 minus our smallest number, which is 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. Look at that. We're already halfway done with our problem. Now I want to find mean, which does take more time, but remember that median requires us to cross things out. Mean is when we add up and divide. So I'm going to just add these up first. So 2 plus 3. Actually, pause it. Add them up yourself. Come back once you've added them up. All right. 2 plus 3 is 5. Plus 5 is 10. Plus 7 is 17. Plus 8 is 25. So we have 25. And I have to second step count how many numbers there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I'm dividing. 25 divided by 5 equals 5. So my mean is 5. And my last one, which is my median, this is when I cross one off from the bottom, one off from the top, one off from the bottom, one off from the top until I have either 1 or 2 numbers left. Remember, if I cross 2 off from the top, I have to cross the same amount off the bottom. So that means I can't have like cross 3 off on one side and then 2 off on the other side. It doesn't work like that. So you're either going to be left with 1 number or 2 numbers. This situation is easier because we're left with 1 number. So my median is 5. So my mode, none. No number repeats itself. Mode is your most. Range, 6, because it's my biggest number, minus my smallest number. 8 minus 2 is 6. My mean is 5, because if I added these up, I get 25. Divided evenly by those 5 numbers would be 5. Thinking about this in terms of like this is 25 candies split among 5 people kind of thing. And then my median is what number falls right in the middle, which is the reason that it is so important to write the numbers from least to greatest. Okay, I'm very, very, very serious here on these problems. You need to practice. Again, not hard concepts, but they are difficult if you don't practice and you don't remember which one's which. So I'm going to link in the description box worksheets that have a ton of sample problems. I want you to do those, and I want you to check your answer. If you're continually getting the wrong answer, I was right in the middle of explaining, and Chomper just was all over. Just a burst of energy. What I was trying to explain was that if you're continually getting the wrong answer, especially with median, make sure that you're lining the numbers up from least to greatest. I would actually make some sort of a cheat sheet that you can reference while you're solving the problems. So writing these kinds of things on a piece of paper so that you can reference them, even just pausing this frame and like referring back to it. I don't know if that's going to be really easy to read. Let me just zoom in on this so that you can zoom. I just pull my computer closer. Remember, mean is adding up and dividing. These are your steps for finding the mean. I should probably clarify that here. Steps for mean. Median is just the middle number. Mode is what's happening the most. And your range is your biggest number minus your smallest number. But if you have any questions, like you're just really not getting it, make sure that you message me. This is a really hard concept to be going over and to like fully explain in a 30-minute video, which is why I would much obviously prefer to do this in class. But I do want to review these concepts and get a ton of practice because I know that you guys are totally capable of getting it as long as you're practicing and you're checking your work and you're staying consistent with your learning. I miss you guys. I really hope you're staying safe. Please don't forget to reach out to me and contact me if you have absolutely any questions, comments, concerns, or anything. But I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. And that wasn't a sentence. We're going to continue with statistics. Bye.